Warm greetings to all our online viewers and participants. We welcome you to the George Everest UASG lecture by Dr. D.N. Pathak. Dr. D.N. Pathak is the Director, Survey of India, and today he's going to present his, he's going to give us a presentation. And Mr. D.N. Pathak is a surveying and mapping professional and has had an extensive experience in the field of surveying. He is BTech Civil Engineering IIT Kanpur with 2 years surveying course in NIGST, Survey of India, Training Institute Hyderabad, and certificate course in LiDAR mapping from ITC Netherlands. He has an extensive experience of working in many prestigious projects implemented by Survey of India, namely ICZM, Uttarakhand Disaster Mapping, CMPDI, mapping from Prime Minister Uday scheme in Delhi, corridor mapping of railways using drone, LSM and Swamitva project mapping using drone, etc. May I now request him to please address our online viewers.
Thank you, Ishita. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer.
Your audio is breaking.
My audio is breaking. So shall I put video off? I think then Now is it okay?
We can
I would like to. Now it is okay?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to talk about surveying and mapping experience of mine. And in today's context, we have seen that geospatial arena has become all pervasive, and we are seeing that in every aspect of our life, we are using directly or indirectly geolocation. So basically, today, as a part of this lecture, I just wanted to give a glimpse how we have moved from a restrictive regime, which was there in this domain, where there were so many regulations before one can collect the geospatial data, prepare the maps or data and disseminate it and use it for public good. So, as you know, we have so many policies earlier in geospatial domain, namely if you say that lately National Map Policy 2005, which was promulgated by Department of Science and Technology, and then there were RSDP policy 2011, remote sensing data policy. Then there were MOD's policy, which was there in 2006 for regulating the aerial survey.
So and we lost your audio.
I'll switch off my video and then. So, and in 2018, MOD has revised this 2006 policy for surveying and data collection from aerial platform. And there were so many. There was a Ministry of Finance Act which earlier prohibited export of maps which are larger than 1:250,000. So the ecosystem was not, facilitating basically to generate geospatial data and use it for various purposes. So recently, as you know, Department of Science and Technology, basically Government of India, has liberalized this sector, and they have come out with guidelines on geospatial data promotion and collection guidelines. So I would just like to give a few highlights of that to start with, and then subsequently, as you know, a National Geospatial Policy has also been formulated, and it is under circulation to various ministries for the consultation, interministerial consultation, views from academia, views from professionals, views from industry, which is very important. Now we are all stakeholders in taking this sector ahead and use its fullest potential for our common citizens, providing services to the common citizens. So I will just highlight a few aspects of the new guidelines. So on 15 February 2021, the Department of Science and Technology released guidelines for acquiring and producing geospatial data and geospatial data services, including maps. These guidelines were issued with the aim of liberalizing the regulations in relation to collection, acquisition, and use of geospatial data across India. So this is one of the very important milestone in this history of geospatial domain in the country, where now everything, data acquisition has been fully liberalized for Indian entities. Indian entities can collect data of any resolution, and they can use it for various purposes, and they can basically disseminate it and value add it and provide solution to the government, academia, or industry, or common people from that. So geospatial data is a position, as you know, it is a positional data with or without attribute, data tagged, whether in form of image, video, vector, voxel, and raster. Datasets or any other type of geospatial dataset is digitized or non-digitized form or web services. So commonly we categorize the geospatial data in these formats. So as you know, previously we had a very restrictive regime. Now the government has enabled that now we have to follow the self-certification regime. Now we have to take responsibility that whatever we are producing, whatever we are disseminating, it is in line with the current policy. So instead of regulation by the government, self-regulation regime has been now facilitated, so that the data can be, the people who are collecting the data, they don't have to go to the number of agencies in the government to seek permissions and seek various kind of what you see. There was a permission for collecting the data. Then after collecting the data, you have to go to some agencies for weighting of the data, the raw data collected, and subsequently when you used to finalize the products out of it, then again you have to go to the government for basically vetting of that data and screening of the data before putting it for use. So all those things were a big impediments, and the cycle was very long. It used to take around, if you start a project and if you finish even your project in 1 month, so it used to take 2 years to at least get the permission from all the agencies to use that data. So all those things have now gone, and the government has facilitated that Indian entities are free to collect data and disseminate it, use it. So basically, now only restriction which has been put, because there will be a negative list of attributes which are very sensitive attributes generally. Positional, you can capture the position of any location point, but the attribute which is to be given to that, labels which we say that are to be given, that has been categorized as sensitive, and the sensitive attributes or negative attributes, you cannot publish it. So that list will be, basically sensitive attributes will be identified and published by Department of Science and Technology after the consultation with the other relevant ministries. Notably, the guidelines require the list of sensitive attributes to be limited. It is not that in the guise of the negative attributes, we don't allow the environment to provide the relevant information, because unless until those information there, as you know, in the GIS environment, basically we work with the position as well as the attributes also. So for making various application decision making, we need the attributes. Unless until those are there with the GIS data, we will not be able to produce or make meaningful conclusions out of that. So to prevent that there should not be a method in which all the attributes may be declared as sensitive, and then again the same kind of environment is created. So government has said the guidelines require the list of sensitive attributes to be limited and restricted only to highly sensitive location in order to ensure that mapping activities are not unduly restricted. So focus basically now, if you have gone through the guidelines, you will see the focus is basically on Indian entities. So Indian entities are free to acquire, collect, generate, prepare, disseminate, store, share, publish, distribute, update, digitize, and create geospatial data, including maps. And spatial accuracy above a specified threshold, provided that such data is stored and processed only in India. Use of technologies such as ground truthing and verification and access Indian ground station and augmentation service for real-time positioning, such as CORS, and gaining access to all associated geospatial data. So basically now, government, if you see the guidelines, government has desired that Survey of India, which is setting up the CORS station. As you know, this is one of the very important framework related issue, which is, if you see the national map policy also, that Survey of India has been mandated to create national spatial reference frame, where we should provide a framework for all kind of mapping, so that whatever data is collected in that framework, whether it is using a terrestrial method, or aerial method, or using the platforms like drone. All these things, all the data collected should pertain to this spatial reference frame, so that in future, if you want to collect these data sets, they should basically, they can be interoperative. This should be made interoperative, they can be collated, and they can be put in a single frame of reference. So in that direction, now earlier we had ground control points at every 25 to 30 kilometers. Survey of India is having ground control point, and that library was open for all. And whoever wants to do surveying and mapping, they can take the coordinates of the GCPs, nearest available GCPs of their location, and work in that, so that whatever data they collect, it is in the spatial reference, national spatial reference frame. Now, the Survey of India is setting up under the Swamitva project continuously operating reference station across the country. So the guidelines also says that the Survey of India should make available this continuously operating reference stations data to all the surveying entities, so that they can carry out their surveying activity in the national spatial reference frame. And in future, if the data is to be put on a single platform, it can be basically collated and brought to a single reference frame. So that is one of the very important aspect of these guidelines, which says that and at least, I mean, it basically shows its intent that the data collected, whether it is by public money or using the private sector investment, all these things should be in the national spatial reference frame. And another is, as you know, earlier also terrestrial mobile mapping, sheet view surveying, there were a lot of permission which were required to be taken before one starts it. Now for the Indian entities, these have been liberalized. So they can carry out these activities in those areas which are not prohibited by concerned authority. The access to those premises or those areas not prohibited by the authorities concerned. So these can be carried out easily by all the Indian entities. There are a few restrictions for the non-Indian companies, and you would have seen in the guidelines, the threshold has been fixed for non-Indian entities. They have to, whatever mapping they carry out, the planimetric accuracy of that should not be better than 1 meter, basically, and height accuracy, elevation accuracy, not better than 3 meters. And there is a restriction on the gravity data also, bathymetry data also. Earlier, as I told you, that export and localization, export of the maps larger than 1:250,000 was not permitted, but now government has allowed that we can have the data of larger resolution also, limited to the threshold value, and for certain purposes where we require foreign agencies or to develop application for us, and all those things where the projects where we have collaboration with foreign agencies for generation of geospatial data, services, and solutions. There, some freedom has been provided to allow the basically agencies to share the data with them in a particular fashion. So you can see that now there is an interministerial committee which has already been constituted, which will basically review the environment and the whole geospatial ecosystem in a periodical manner and see that wherever there is a requirement, so to facilitate basically the industry, the academia, and all those to basically grow in this sector. Now, National Geospatial Policy has recently been circulated, and the key highlights have been listed here. It is a comprehensive policy framework for advancement of geospatial sector, and that is the need of the hour, as we know. So it is just a follow-up of the guidelines, National Geospatial Policy, and I would request all of you, whosoever have got it, and then they should give their views on it, and those views are very important in basically finalizing this policy. Ultimately, we are going to work under this, and so if you see the features of the policy, main features I have listed: encouraging geospatial knowledge generation, skill sets and expertise, strengthening of geospatial infrastructure, geospatial data products, services and solutions for socio-economic development. So all these basically emphasis has been given on creation of geospatial data, facilitating different facets of the creation of geospatial data wherever is required. So government should work as a facilitator, basically in terms of support, whether it is a budgetary support is there, or technical support is there, or providing its infrastructure is there. So in all those cases, the government should act as a facilitator so that the benefit of the geospatial data can be. Now, one of the very important aspect is the establishment of geo platform and national data registry, where the policy envisages that all the data which has been collected using public fund will be put on this geo platform in a usable format, open format, so that public, industry, academia, they can use this data set, because earlier it was very difficult. I mean, for the research purpose, as in IIT Roorkee, a lot of research takes place in geospatial domain. For that, they require geospatial data of different regions of the country, but it would have been very difficult for them to get it. But now the policy facilitates that all these data, whether it is LiDAR data, whether it is aerial survey data, whether it is terrestrial survey data, and irrespective of its resolution, it should be put on a public domain geo platform, and all the people will be able to use it for basically value addition and coming out with a solution, application development. So this is one of the very important aspect of this policy, and in future we are going to see that this geo platform is, when it comes live, so this will change the face of this geospatial industry and geospatial ecosystem. Features of self-certification regime, as I have already told you, and now it provides that basically equal opportunity to government and non-government sectors and others, and promote collaboration, including public-private partnership between various agencies. So I'll just skip Survey of India topographic data. Now this is important. Survey of India topographic data to be treated as a common good and made easily available. Geospatial data and information produced using public fund to be shared as per national data sharing and accessibility policy. And one of the important thing is that in standardization of the format, so that geospatial data is available in an interoperable machine readable form. This is one of the important aspects, because geospatial data is being generated by different agencies with different standards. So standardization is the need of the hour, and there are agencies which are working in that. So those standards will be out, and everyone will be basically encouraged to produce their data in those standards, because it is good for them. If they follow those standards, they are going to get data from other agencies which are producing it in the same standard. So interoperability can be whatever data they want to use, they can take it from that platform in those standard format. They can put their data also for others to use in those formats. So it is very important. Standardization of the data and the data format is very important. And now the thrust is on geospatial education and skill development. And I can proudly say that IITs, including IIT Roorkee, are working in this direction. And for last few years, they have produced very good. I mean, if you see the startups, many of the startups have been incubated in these places, in IITs. And once they have come out of the incubation center, they are doing very well. And drone industry, if you see, many of the these companies have been incubated in these centers and other centers of excellence. It is not only IIT, there are NITs and other centers which are doing very well, and they are encouraging the young people to come and experiment and come out, do the innovation and come out the technology. So if you see in the drone industry, we see that in last 3-4 years, it has, reached to a level where we can proudly say that we have we have agencies which are manufacturing drone of surveying and mapping grade drones, which are basically, it was not possible, that 4-5 years back. So this is one of the very important aspect where we need to focus more on geospatial education and skill development, because we need to have many skilled people. Because as we know, there is an estimate that by 2030, the Indian geospatial industry is going to be of value 1 lakh crore. So we need professionals. We need technology infusion. We need many more startups to come up with the better ideas, better technical solution for the basically the issues we are dealing with. So this is one of the important aspects, and I hope that Professor Kamal Jain and his team, they have contributed a lot and will continue to contribute in this important aspect of the geospatial domain. Now, in that line, it has been desired to have surveyors registration for quality professional, because it is very important that the professionals who are there, they should be having the sufficient knowledge to carry out surveying and mapping tasks. It is, and to maintain the standards of the data, that is very important. So these are the basically the policy implementation mechanism which was envisaged in the National Geospatial Policy. Legal framework legislation, we want to, the government intend to create a legal framework to enable basically the policies and the laws, regulation may be specific to geospatial information related. So that is also. Now, budgetary support from the government, because most of the projects in this domain are public funded projects, and industry is working in close ranks with the public sector organization to generate geospatial data and information. So budgetary support to not only the public sector, but private sector, individuals who try to innovate in this area, startups. So the public support is required. Public fund is required for their growth and coming out with a better solution. So that is also there in the guidelines where government intends to provide such a support. Interministerial consultation is there. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you. And
thank you, sir, for your presentation on the geospatial policies. We have a couple of questions from one of our viewers, Abhishek Rai.
Okay.
The first question is, how does this liberalization of geospatial data tackle the problem of data privacy, say for Street View kind of publishing of data in which there are number plates and faces visible on images?
So you see, in the policy itself, we are talking about a self-certification regime. So self-certification regime, what it tells, that whatever the various, there are in the country, there are various laws. Privacy law is one of the also important aspect of it. So while publishing the data, whosoever is data collector, he has to ensure that all the applicable laws which are there. I mean, if you see like data acquisition, I'll just give an example, that data acquisition has been liberalized, but the operation of aerial platform, any aerial survey platform, or whether it is you are using drones for data collection or using any other aerial platform for data collection. So you have to take permission for operations. So it is not that you don't have to. I mean, there is no legal framework or which allows you to do whatever you want. So there are, various laws. So you will have to abide by those also. So data acquisition is free, but the responsibility of following other laws related to it, whether it is IT Act is there or 1990 Act is 1919 that Copyright Act is there. All those things you have to follow. So similarly, the privacy laws, which may not be in the so those privacy laws also you have to follow while publishing your data.
Thank you, sir, for an elaborate answer. The next question has been asked again by Abhishek Rai, and he says that the data collected before the implementation of new policy, will it be made public? And if yes, what will be the process of acquiring these data sets?
Yes, of course, all the data, because it is very clear in the guidelines that 15th February onwards, the day it was put in the public domain, the guidelines was put in the public domain, all the previous restrictions, regulations have gone. So everything which is generated by public fund, that has to be put in the public domain, and it has to be enabled that in a format which can be used by the stakeholders. So the platform, I mean, all the organizations which are collecting the geospatial data, they have been directed by the government to, put up infrastructure and facilitate this kind of thing. So in the coming months, we will see that that will happen. And as far as Survey of India is concerned, Survey of India is also working in this direction, and we are putting up infrastructure and so that we can make available the data set collected by Survey of India of various resolution are put in the public domain as per the policy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for answering the questions and for the presentation on geospatial policies. Professor Kamal Jain also wishes to thank you for the time that you have taken out to join us for, in this conference. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We will take this session offline now.
Okay.